Morning, Paul.
Brendan, you gave a significant injury update last night, but have you any fresh concerns since the game or any players returning ahead of the Spurs game?
No, we'll have the same squad as last night. So, I think I said after the game, James and Ben will miss the last couple of games, as will Christian, and Mark will hopefully be available for Manchester United. Otherwise, we're all the same.
What sort of challenge is that for you with some important games to come?
No, listen, I was really excited about the game last night. We're missing, obviously, outstanding talents and Ricardo Pereira and the guys that I've mentioned. So, but it's always an opportunity. And like I say, you embrace the opportunity, and the guys that come in, they all know how we play. It's very systematic in how we work. So the guys coming in understand our style of football. But then to see young Luke Thomas come in last night and play to that level with that composure, and that's what I'm saying. It's always an opportunity. So I was absolutely delighted with the guys that are fit and available now, and they've done a great job.
And of course, it was Europa League football guaranteed for next season, but still, obviously, with eyes on the top four. How do you assess your chances of qualifying for Champions League with this Tottenham game to come?
Well, I think we can now give absolutely everything into it and play with that freedom. You know, like I said, our targets really at the beginning of the season was, could we bring Leicester City into Europe? In my time here, and I always felt that was going to be the challenge, the big challenge. But for the players to do it with 2 games to go is absolutely superb. However, we have an opportunity to achieve even more, and we're going to give absolutely everything to do that. And if we keep the standard that we had last night in the game in terms of our intensity and mentality in the game, then we know we'll have as good a chance as anyone.
How do you think Tottenham's approach has changed since you last faced them when Mauricio Pochettino was in charge?
Listen, Tottenham have got a world-class manager, and they get outstanding players. So it's always going to be a difficult opponent for us. So they get, as I said, talents at the top end of the field that can hurt you, and so we will have to be ready for a tough game.
And just on the injury front, Ben Chilwell, one of those players on the injury list for the rest of the season. The transfer window opens in 10 days' time. Do you feel he's now played his last game for the club?
I'm not sure.
Are you sort of at least bracing yourself for a fight to keep hold of him before next season?
No, not at all. Not at all. He's a Leicester City player. He's not a player that we want to lose. So I'm quite relaxed on him.
And you mentioned Luke Thomas. Does his emergence mean you're less worried about the possibility of any potential departure if that does happen?
No, I'm not worried at all. That's the point. It's we've got a fantastic squad that we want to keep together. So I don't worry.
Thanks, Brendan.
Cheers.
Okay, Vicky Sparks then, please.
Hi, Brendan. Good to see you. We've seen just how competitive the race for Europe has been this season with so many teams involved. Do you think that trend is going to continue over the coming years?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that you look back to the beginning of the season, and if you look at what the top 6 were from the previous season, and the likes of the teams tipped to maybe break into the top 6 were Wolves, Everton, West Ham, and ourselves. We're in that sort of group sitting outside of the top 6. So I think that the Premier League will continue to be competitive, and like I say, the other teams that have done great and will look to improve again next season. So the competition in the Premier League is very much there. Of course, the budgets and resources around those, super clubs, of course, is always going to be greater than a number of us other ones. But it doesn't mean that we can't compete and fight and find a way to arrive in there.
And Jose Mourinho, obviously a manager that you know incredibly well. Just wondering, out of that time together at Chelsea, is there one thing in particular that stands out that you learned from him during that period that you've then taken into your own managerial style?
I think you have to be yourself, but there's absolutely no doubt at that time, Jose was a huge influence for me. An absolute world-class manager, and who was, absolutely brilliant for me as a young coach. I think firstly, just his straight away the professionalism, how he devoted his life to football. His focus and detail was incredible. He was a guy that always time for me, and always communicated well with me. Of course, ideas, we maybe slightly different in terms of the game, but in terms of preparation and detail, and he was absolutely brilliant. And like I said, he was so good in the media in that period when I was there. He was a breath of fresh air, and now I learned so much from him in terms of just in sort of observing him and how he worked, or how an elite manager operates. And he was.
And Harry Kane notching his 200th club goal last time out, like your own Mr. Vardy. Their figures are just remarkable, aren't they?
Yeah, obviously Harry's gone on and brought himself into the Tottenham team, and of course, like you say, he's a world-class striker. Don't know him at all, but he seems a very humble guy who gets on with his work, and obviously has done great for Tottenham and England. He's a top-level striker, scores all types of goals, and is a real reference for his club. And like you say, Jamie, it's just phenomenal. For my time here, he's been amazing, and you've seen him in the game last night. You've seen his energy, you see his quality, and then you can see the bits where he's adding to his game. Not as a goal scorer, when he gets in there, he can now making passes. The great weight of pass, and that shows you the development in his game. So yeah, now both outstanding strikers, different strikers, but both up there with the best strikers in the world.
And just finally from me, it's fascinating, isn't it, just how different their stories are. I mean, we all know it, Jamie Vardy coming through non-league, Harry Kane coming up through the Tottenham Academy, but now we mention them in the same breath. Yeah,
and I think it just shows you that no pathway is the same to becoming a great player. You need resilience, and you need talent, of course, and you need to have, that real focus to want to work hard, and both those boys have certainly did that. Like I said, Jamie's figures in particular are so impressive, considering when he came into the Premier League. It's absolutely phenomenal record that he has, and hopefully he's going to add many more to it. But yeah, the journeys are both totally different. Had to show, like I said, that persistence in their careers at various points. With Harry going out on various loans and not quite working out sometimes, and maybe thinking his career at Tottenham was done, but to persevere and then have that moment when he got in and then stayed in. And yeah, he's outstanding.
Thanks, Brendan.
Cheers.
Okay, Jason.
Morning, Brendan. Hope you're well. Firstly, congratulations on achieving European football last night. I noted the chairman said in his programme notes that it's time for courage, for unity and for belief. 3 games for us to earn a finishing position of which we are worthy. Now, you certainly showed unity, belief and courage last night against Sheffield United after that difficult game against Bournemouth on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's about the standard. Like I said, we've set goals that we would want to achieve throughout the season, but it's about our standard, and we dropped well below the standard, and that's why I said after the game against Bournemouth, you can't even talk about Champions League, when you have that sort of mentality in the game and work. But if you look at the performance last night, we're playing against a team off the back of 3 outstanding results, and in particular against Chelsea and Tottenham, where the performance level was so high. For us to then really dominate like we did last night, both physically and in our football, that brought us back to the level that we've played for a lot of the season. So yeah, the players showed all of those values that we want to see in our team, and when they do that, we can play to a really high level.
Is it important for the club from maybe a financial point of view to be in the Champions League rather than, I say, just the Europa next season? Is there any pressure at all in that respect?
No, not at all. Listen, we're not a club that's budgeted and guaranteed for Champions League football. That's the reality of where we're at. We've been mid-table in the last few seasons, but of course we're ambitious and we want to fight and we want to overcome whatever financial differences there are to find a way and arrive in there. So thankfully this season we'll end up in there. But of course, if you have an opportunity, which we have over the next couple of games, to finish in the Champions League places, then we will give absolutely everything we can to do that. So, but from a financial perspective, no, it's the rewards of arriving in there are obviously huge from a football perspective and a financial. So let's see we can do it.
Just on Luke Thomas, of course, local lad, great debut for him last night, and always great for fans to see local boys coming through and making it into the first team. But how do you manage him going forward now? I mean, it looks like he will be playing in two what are going to be huge games over the next week or so.
Well, this is why he's travelled in. His parents, 4 and 5 times a week since he was a young boy, coming into the academy and working, and the long nights and all the travel that they do. They work, and the objective is to play for the first team. And I was thrilled for him last night. I said before the game that it's always exciting for me as a coach, because that's what I am. I like to develop players, whether they're young players or older players. But it's so great when you have a talent and they can go in and do as well as what you hope, because then it's the beginning of what will hopefully be a fantastic career for him. There's still so much work to do. There's, he's coming in, a huge challenge for him last night, playing against a really, really good team that have real good quality and physicality. So to cope with that, it was a really, really good start. But there'll be bumps along the way for him, that's for sure. And I've also seen that with young players. But he's very level-headed. He's got a good perspective on where he's at, and like I say, he's got real quality. So we'll nurture him, and like I said, there's going to be many more opportunities for him. But fantastic talent.
Brendan, I just want to follow up a question that was asked of you about Ben Chilwell a few moments ago. You're asked whether he may have played his last game for the club. You said, "I'm not so sure," or "I'm not sure." Can you just clarify that? I mean, you didn't sound too confident.
Listen, you spin it whichever way you want, Jason. Right? I was asked, and what I'm saying is I'm not worried. There's no intention to sell Ben Chilwell, and there is absolutely no need for us to sell Ben Chilwell. So if you need to write a message or promote a message, the message is he's not for sale. It's as simple as that.
No, thank you on that. Appreciate it. Harry Kane, though, loves a goal against Leicester. I think it's something like 14 in 13 games. I was up at St James's Park on Wednesday, watched him pretty closely against Newcastle. Maybe not as mobile as a player since his injury, since coming back. Still pops up, though, scoring 2 goals on that night. How do you go about keeping him from making it maybe 15 in 14 games?
No, we've got to control their team. Harry's an outstanding striker who will get all types of goals and all sorts of goals, and but they've other talents as well. Son is great in counter attack and can break away, so we have to manage that threat. Other players like Lamela, who's creative and bright, and Moore. So you have to control the team. They've got threats throughout their team. And then that's what we'll collectively look to do, similar to last night. Collective is how we'll look to try and win the game.
Thank you. The very best of luck at the weekend. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Jason. Ian Stringer, please.
So, Brendan, I hope you're able to hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good morning.
Good. Good morning. How much are you hoping to get for Ben Chilwell? No. The injury situation. What's your favourite Jason Bourne film? Not that question either. The injury situation. Johnny Evans. Stop laughing, Jason. Johnny Evans looked like he might have an ankle problem. You said that your squad's going to be the same. I'm assuming then that's not a real concern for you.
100%. Well done, Ian.
Thank you. Your squad seems... your squad shows an awful lot from the academy. Jason asked you about Luke Thomas and his success. Is it time, and I know that you certainly will, given your coaching history, but to pay tribute to the academy? Chilwell, the likes of Andy King, Hamza Chowdhury, Harvey Barnes, Luke Thomas, all first-team players in years gone by. The likes of Jeffrey Schlupp have come through the academy and done very, very well. Brendan, I'm not just talking about the coaches, but the people that put these young boys into digs when they arrive in the city and in the system, and people like the Birch who put their arm around the shoulder and welcome them and try and ease them in. How much credit do the academy deserve at times like this?
Yeah, well, firstly, you got to find them. So the recruitment team is very important. You know, the ethos at any good academy is to find them, look after them, and develop them. And so firstly, the scouts have got to find these young players, to bring them into the club. Once they come in, then this is a club that looks after the players. You know, the care that they get here is absolutely superb. You know, they right the way through the system, you know, from when they're introduced as young players, they get looked after, they're given a good ground in the game, and they've always got that ambition then to come in to play for the first team. And like you say, the record speaks for itself. The boys with talent and commitment and the right mentality make their way through. And then it's the idea then is then to stay there, and they've actually done that. But no, it's a huge credit to everyone involved. I've been very impressed by the work that's gone on here, and obviously my background in youth development, I obviously really look into it deeply when I come into a club. So yeah, a lot of fantastic work going on, and it's not easy in this day and age to produce players that can come in and play like that there in the first game at the highest level. Sometimes those types of boys need to go out on loan into League One and Championship to get the experience. But for Luke to come in and play to that level shows the great work that's going on.
Regarding the injuries, have either Maddison or Chilwell needed any surgical intervention? Are they likely to be out? Are you worried about next season, or is it kind of box off this season and get them well and surgery isn't required for either of them?
Yeah, I believe so. From the reports from the medical team, is that James will obviously, unfortunately, he'll just miss out this season, and then through a bit of the off season he'll do his work. But by the time he get back training in August, then he should be back. Ben might be a little bit longer, as will Christian Fuchs. So yeah, so that's something for us to look at over the course of the next few months. But yeah. We'll just have to see how they go over the course of the next 5 weeks or so.
We were talking about this just before the lockdown, Brenda, so please forgive me if I missed this indeed. But has Wes Morgan signed a contract extension at the football club, or is he out of contract at the end of the season? And indeed, if he's out of contract, are you going to renew it?
No, he's signed an extension. So he's here for another year.
Lovely. You must be delighted with that.
Delighted, yeah. I think his performance last night showed the trust and the faith that I have in him. I think some people might have thought, oh, he's 36 and we're just giving him another season on the back of being here and being a legend. Not at all. I feel that he's got great worth to this squad of players and football club. You know, his behaviour every single day is you know, it's really inspirational, especially for our younger players, you know, how he carries himself. But also you see the testament to his work, you know, and I feel that, you know, especially going into a season where you get European football, you're going to need that experience. You're going to need those experienced bodies around, as well as having all the young players. So you see his performance last night. He was absolutely brilliant, you know, colossal performance from a guy that's trained so hard every day and is ready for you when needed. And yeah, I'm absolutely delighted he's got another year.
Couple more questions, if you wouldn't mind, Brendan. Your recruitment in the summer, now you're guaranteed Europa League football. I know you've got some youthful players on the bench now, but has this demonstrated that a few injuries and with respect to the young players, it is a relatively bare squad? Do you need significant investment in the squad now you're guaranteed European football?
But I think we all understand that they need to improve. That's very important, you know. I think each year that is key, and I think for us, like I said, we haven't had too many changes in the squad since I've come in. So, but I think there's a lot more development left in the current players that we have. But of course, you always have to be careful, because if you go through with the same players, there can be a psychological exhaustion in there if you don't freshen up your squad with quality. You know, you're asking the same players to do it all the time. You know, that's something that we don't want to happen. So for sure, we need to we want to improve, and in order to do that, we've obviously been looking for a number of months to bring in the right quality that can do that. The market will be difficult, of course, because of COVID-19 and everything else. However, our ambition is still to improve the squad, and that's what we'll look to do.
Final one, Brendan, if you wouldn't mind, and this is somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but I'm not sure whether you're aware, there is a possible mathematical difficulty in the Premier League. If you beat Spurs and Manchester United beat West Ham and Chelsea lose to Liverpool, then yourselves and Manchester United could, I'm not suggesting you would, of course, because it'd be match fixing, but you could play out a draw and both you and Manchester United qualify for the Champions League. Chelsea don't. It's a mathematical, right now, strange situation and scenario. How on earth would you cope with that if those pieces fell into place?
Ian, it's too early in the morning for that.
You need more coffee.
Absolutely. It's too complicated. Late at night. So, I'm not even thinking about that, to be honest. I'll be just thinking of our team and doing our job.
I'll remind you of it after the weekend. Good luck at the weekend. Thanks for your time.
Man. Thanks, Ian. Cheers.